I dropped out of high school and there was nothing to do. And at the time, my girlfriend cheated on me. I was kind of like the loser of the town. I felt this immense sense of dread is really the only way to put it. First 5 years of my life just about was fueled by just pure dark energy. On average, I was closing about 3 million a year. And I just trained all of his biggest accounts. Like he gave me like Jay Shetty, Ty Lopez,
wow.
A bunch of big names. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention or not, to be frank with you, but I train their sales teams. I think it's immature to start a business when you have zero skill sets. I get paid more than a business owner makes. The 0 to 100K, they stay there for a long time because rapport is the stupidest fucking thing in the world when it comes to sales. You don't have to be a natural born salesperson. I'm the complete opposite. Then I have like a girl, for example, that runs my Bumble. So like she'll go out and like get dates and she knows what I like now. So like
Yo, what is going on, everybody? Guys, we got a good one for you today. We got Mr. Temple Naylor in the house. I'm super excited for this podcast. And Temple, I guess the best way to start is just to hear your story.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, my name is obviously Temple. I've been in sales for 5 years. Started off on a pretty crazy journey. I don't know how deep you want to go into that, but essentially I started off cold calling for myself to get a job and convince someone to fly me out. Then I cold called to close my own agency services. Then I closed other agency services. Then I moved into high ticket sales, and it's been a wild ride ever since then.
And you started off running an agency, right?
I did start off running an agency. That was the first thing I did, yeah. Because I got a, long story short, I come from a really small town. So
in Kansas, right?
No, not Kansas. That Kansas stint was just a side mission that makes no sense. And that's a story for another day. But I was actually in Northern California. So the nearest city was San Francisco, which was 5 hours away. My graduating class was 12 people. So there was literally no opportunity whatsoever there. I dropped out of high school and there was nothing to do. And at the time, my girlfriend cheated on me. I was kind of like the loser of the town. So I wanted to have that typical revenge, make money online. And I Googled how to make money online. Because again, there's like the grocery store was like a 3-hour walk. I didn't have a car. And there was no affiliate marketing. There was no drop shipping, SMMA. What came up was coding, actually, funny enough. So I taught myself how to code. I was living in a mobile home at the time. And then once I figured it out, I just cold called companies across the world, or across America, and just asked, hey, could you fly out this high school dropout with no coding experience and then pay for all my travel expenses, apartment, like give me first month's rent and let me get on my feet.
Yeah.
And as you can imagine, it's incredibly difficult, but I eventually pulled it off after a year, after blood, sweat, and tears. And the moment they sat me down in that office, I remember it was the tallest building in Portland, Oregon, the whole 360 view at the top floor. They're walking me around the whole circle, showing off their kombucha on tap, they're everything they think they're cool for, Herman Miller chairs, we got the arcade games, like the typical bullshit startup shit.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, I fucking made it. This is great. Like, I was 19 now at the time, so I was like, I fucking did it. And they sat me down. I swear about a lot, by the way. So let me know if you want me to hold back on that. You'll bleep it out. But point being, they sat me down at this computer, and I remember the moment my boss walked away, I heard the phones ringing, I heard all the ambient keyboard typing, and then that clock right above me, the traditional office clock, I just heard it ticking. And I felt this immense sense of dread is really the only way to put it. I felt there was no way I went through, because we just skipped to like a lot of pain I went through. There's no way I went through all this pain to achieve this. This can't be the final end goal. So the first thing I did on that job is I Googled again how to make money online. And what came up was Iman Gaji's I'm a 17-year-old high school dropout ad. And I saw him like traveling the world and all this shit. I was like, that's it. That's the life I want to have for myself. So that's what got me into SMMA and then eventually obviously sales.
What was your first agency?
Dude, it was just typical lead gen. Like everyone teaches, try to provide leads for like a Zapier on a Google Sheet and put a 2K retainer and slap it on, just try to close as many of those as possible.
And now you're pretty much full-time sales, right?
Full-time sales. Well, full-time sales coaching, yeah, but I still do sales part-time.
And you're still working with Cole, right?
I work with Cole, yeah. So I basically, I'm the top trainer over there, and I just train all of his biggest accounts. Like he gave me like Jay Shetty, Ty Lopez, a bunch of big names. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention or not, to be frank with you, but I train their sales teams and develop them. And then I upsell them on $68,000 packages and then continue to work with them.
Yeah, I see your Instagram stories. I just see crazy pitch. I'm like, what the heck is this guy pitching? All right, let's kind of backtrack a little bit.
Sure.
Why did you choose? Because there's so many people, they want to be the business owner, right? But you've made what I'm sure to be a tremendous amount of money closing for other people. Why not just run your own business?
Yeah, good question, man. Dude, honestly, and this doesn't speak for everybody, but I think it's immature at least, and I did it, so it worked for me, but I think it's immature to start a business when you have zero skill sets whatsoever. So like if like you don't know marketing, copywriting, leadership, recruiting, tech, operations, sales, offer creation, the idea or philosophy that you're going to go out and beat the 73.3% chance of failure and then learn 5 skills enough in a year to make $10,000 a month is really fucking hard. So instead, I really think you should be an entrepreneur and not an entrepreneur at first. And that's what, choose a high income skill set that business can leverage. Copywriting is one. I obviously chose high ticket sales. And then branch off of that. So that's what got me into it. But in terms of why not do my own thing, it's a good question. I get paid more than a business owner makes.
Yeah.
So it's like, why start that hurdle when majority of business I'm coaching, I make way more than them just from training them, develop them. Cole pays me handsomely fucking well. Yeah. And then on top of that, man, it's like there's obviously continual growth. So I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but I'm working with Cole and some other things. He's offering me CEO positions left and right. When that time comes and I feel it's ready to take it, I'll take it. I'm doing some other stuff on the side as well. So there's multiple income sources coming in. I just don't portray everything. I just show what everyone else wants to see, which is the piffs.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right, so let's kind of backtrack. You work with Cole. You work with some crazy names, Ty Lopez. You also work with Joel Kaplan. What have you noticed about, and this is maybe a selfish question for me.
Yeah, go ahead.
What have you noticed about just those super high performers in these 8-figure companies? What separates them from pretty much everyone else?
They're just a tenacity to take action first and ask questions later and fix it second. The number one, because I basically have multiple brackets I work with, because I don't do just sales consulting. I actually help out with offer creation, leadership, recruiting, management. I'm a full-fledged consultant at this point, but I just started sales part because that's what's sexy online.
Yeah.
No one wants to ever talk leadership or recruiting. But
the stuff that actually matters.
Yeah, the stuff that matters, right? But point being is I work with different caliber of brackets, and the 0 to 100K, they stay there for a long time because they overthink everything. Like, oh, I got to get this dialed in first. I got to learn this. This isn't ready. Let me reiterize it and create another version. Where those people at that high level, they just say, fuck it, let's just throw it out and see what works. Like Cole, that's what I really learned from him, is he would just launch a VSL, drop 100K on ad spend. And I remember him saying to me, he's like, yeah, I don't know if this is going to work or not. We'll just see. I just whipped it up last night. Let's launch it, see what happens. And it's like that level of tenacity, that's where just things hit a lot quicker for you. And once you have something that sparks, then you can add gasoline and obviously revitalize and tone down the flame as much as you want. But that's probably the biggest differentiator between people that are really successful and people that are not, from what I've seen.
Okay, so you've obviously put a lot of work and effort into getting where you're at.
Sure.
And I mean, I don't know what you think about natural born salespeople, but where did you kind of start off in terms of your skill set to where you're at now, and how'd you get so good?
Dude, here, my friend. My little gift, Cohibas. These are my favorite things.
What is this, a cigar?
Cigar, yeah.
Okay.
So, the point being is I don't like too big of cigars because they force you to stay in one spot forever. But these little cigars, I got them in Europe, and that's where I got the idea of them. Is people just smoke them like a cigarette as you go. They're fast, quick. You just ash in here. There's the very end of it. But yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, 100%, man. What happened is when I did this whole Imangaji course, that's what actually the first ever high ticket course I ever bought, is I just was cold calling left and right, and it just wasn't panning out because I wasn't putting enough time and reps into it. I was cold calling before break, which is like 30, or before work, which is like 30 minutes, a lunch break, which is 30 minutes, and like an hour between 5 and 6 when business closed and they weren't answering the calls anymore. So as you can imagine, I just wasn't getting enough reps. And I had this period where I was doing this for 3-4 months and nothing was panning out. I didn't close a single client. And I just said, fuck it. I just got to burn the boats and go in. I had no money because I was spending all of my income for my job on courses and trying to learn this thing. And I said, I just got to figure it out. And I quit my job. And day 29, I closed my client. And the tenacity behind that is I was cold calling from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. every single day. And I just did it over and over and over again. I had no sales training at first. Eventually, I obviously invested. But that's just what got me good, is lots and lots of reps and refining.
It's just volume.
Yeah, because I always tell people, it's like, you don't have to be a natural born salesperson. I'm the complete opposite. I'm an introvert. I was a computer programmer. Like I literally just I'm a nerd that likes to sit on the computer and code. Yeah. I don't want to call people and talk to them on the phone. I'm not that guy whatsoever. In a group setting, I hate to be in group settings. It's just not me. So I'm the last person to expect
I would have never guessed.
You would think. I've refined my ability to be more extroverted over time. But I prefer, dude, like if I can just be in a home for 2 months and not talk to anybody or have to leave my home, I'll do it. Hands down.
That's so interesting because I think so many people, they think they have to be that extroverted person with
100%.
high energy. Like Matt, he would always say, I'm not a good salesperson. Matt Shields, my business partner, he would always say, I'm not a good salesperson because I'm an introvert. I'm like, dude, he's a solid closer. We actually, I hate to admit it, but this was the one time we ever closed deals at a state because for the longest time we had a sales team.
Sure.
But we went through this slump and we're like, okay, like the owners have to step in and show the team like we got to close deals. And I'm not gonna lie, he beat me. I've never said that to anyone, but I'm the extrovert, he's the introvert.
We know what it is. I'll give you the scientific reasoning. Extroverts, they have a lot of certainty. So they're like excited going, and certainty sells. So extroverts can definitely sell. I'm not saying they can't.
It's unbelievable.
But there's the next level of certainty. I believe it's Tony Robbins that talks about this, but I don't want to misquote him, is resolve. So certainty is like, I can absolutely help you. 100%, I got everything you need. That's certainty, right? Energy, excitement. Resolve is like, of course I could help you. Why wouldn't I be able to? That's resolve, right? It's another level where introverts are easily more able to tap into resolve and they can't tap into certainty, where it's vice versa for extroverts.
Wow.
Yeah, it's interesting, right?
That's so fascinating. So if you had to start all over again, because it sounds like it was just volume, reps, and more reps, right?
Sure.
So what would be your piece of advice to maybe the person listening right now and they're struggling with sales, they're an introvert, they don't have the confidence, they're just getting started, and they can't close a deal to save their life?
Yeah, it's funny. I just experienced this with a client of mine. She is starting her own business, and she has been on a a rut of not being able to close for 4 months. 4 months, couldn't close a single deal, and she came to me. And she came on the call, and she was basically crying. She was like, I don't think I can do this. Like, sales is not for me. You need to hire a sales rep, and you shouldn't be hiring a sales rep if you're just starting a business. We can get into that for another day if you want. But point being, I was like, you need to learn this yourself. And I just said, the biggest thing you need to realize is it's like learning a language. So if you're ever trying to learn, like, I don't know how many languages you speak or whatnot, but like, I got French down, English down, now I'm trying to like get my Spanish down. And when you're trying to learn that language, it's fucking bashing your head against this wall over and over and over again, and nothing's clicking. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It could be alien for all you know. And one day, something in your brain, the synapses happen, and it just clicks. And you understand the way that language is structured, you understand how to speak it, how to communicate it, and that happens after like a 46-month period of learning it. Sales are the same way. It's a language. It's a language of sub-communication and persuasion, right? So if you want to master it, the biggest thing you have to realize is that first 4 months, if it doesn't come natural to you, are going to be incredibly fucking difficult. But if you stay past that 4 months, the moment it clicks and your brain just synapses, wire it with my bro science, it takes off from there. That's exactly what happened with her. Is no 4 months, didn't close any deal, struggled another 3 months with me. And then eventually one day it snapped, and now she's doing 100K a month. Closing all the deals out, loves sales, easiest thing in the world for her. So you just have to look at it as a language and stick past that first barrier, opposed to like looking at it as a skill and being able to acquire it quickly. Patience is key.
How do people develop that patience?
I mean, that just comes from practice in your own daily life with stoicism and being key. I mean, I think for me, dude, I'm not the most qualified. I always tell you everything I know that I can answer, and I'll tell you the things I don't know. Yeah. The only reason I'm patient is because I was forced to be fucking patient. Because when I was living in this mobile home and no one was calling me back, I had to be patient. There was not a choice. When I was at this job and I hated my life and I was going home, just like hated that I had to call her and ask for permission to see my mom, that required patience. When I was learning sales, that required patience. So patience is a skill or a muscle that I just have to develop out of necessity, not learn. So maybe if you don't have patience, you're probably not trying things that are long-term gratifying enough. You're always looking for short-term goals.
What was that thing for you to where it was, because I believe that people don't get what they want in life, they get what they need. Why did you need to make this work?
Dude, I hate talking this with this frame because it's just so overplayed now with the whole Andrew Tate, Matrix, Escape It, you know. Like, it's like we all get it. But I always knew, man, from a young age. Like, I remember being in elementary school and I was just thinking, this is weird. Like, why are we going down this path to learn these skill sets that we're never going to use, like advanced calculations and mathematics and all this shit, just to get in debt to then pay off that debt for the rest of your life? Like, that always stuck with me. So like, since an early age, I always knew I was going to college. I thought I was just going to be like a contractor, like a lineman or something like that, like just make 6 figures and not have to go down that route. So I knew that was for me, but it was the tipping point when my high school sweetheart at the time cheated on me with my best friends. And because I was in a small town, you can't really go anywhere else. There's no new friends to make. There's no new girls to make. My graduating class was 12 people, to remind you. So I had this necessity of revenge, to be frank with you. And the first 5 years of my life just about was fueled by just pure dark energy. And that's what propelled me. And I like tapping into that. And I think a lot of people strive away from that because they look at it as ungodly, so to say. But I really think, God created us in the image is good and light. And I think if you know how to use that bad light for a good thing, that's why I'm obsessed with Batman. It can be really powerful. So that necessity was just built out of anger and revenge, to be frank with you.
Interesting. Would you say like the Batman is like an alter ego?
He definitely was in the first couple of phases of my life. I just always was obsessed with a guy that could just take pain, anger, frustration, and use that to the better good and become something great out of it, net positive. So yeah, I always believe in like the laws of transmutation, for example. And I really think if you use negative energy properly, it can be a really positive influence. So Batman was a perfect example of that. So yeah, it was an alter ego.
So you went from small town to now we're in beautiful Medellin, Colombia. I know we were talking before this. You're thinking about going to Europe.
I was just in Europe. I was just in Paris. And I came back.
And you're about to go back.
I've been bouncing back and forth the last year or two. Yeah.
Why the digital nomad lifestyle?
What else is the option?
Home base like me.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, that's fair. Dude, I think, to be frank with you, gypsies run in my family on my mom's side.
Huh.
And I think it's just the gypsy blood in me, just to be frank with you. It just cannot stay fucking still. I've tried so many times. Kansas was one for that little stint. Yeah. I tried it in Miami. I tried it in California. I tried it in Medellin. I tried it in Mexico City. I tried it in Paris. I've tried it in so many places, dude. I get to this point where I tried in Texas. I get to this point where this year hits and I get this weird feeling like I have to move. Like I have to pick up my bags and start from scratch again. It's just the gypsy in me. I can't explain it. It's a gift and a curse.
That's insane, man. I don't know how I could ever do that. Just like going back and forth. How do you do that while also you're super dialed in. Yeah. You're super focused. Like this is the first time I've seen you since being here because you're dialed, I'm dialed. Yeah. So how do you get into routines?
Dude, the biggest thing is we were talking a little about this before we aired, right? Is you're here for 2 weeks. If you do stints like that over and over again, you can't travel full time. It's fucking impossible. I would go crazy too. I can't maintain that. So I always tell people, like, if you want to live the lifestyle I live, you have to stay in places for seasons. So I will stay in each place for a minimum 3 months. Stay for 3 months. That way I can get locked in again, my gym, my friends, my dating life, my social circle. I know the local grocery store. If I'm in Paris and I can't afford a chef like here, because a chef there is like fucking $7,000 a month.
Yeah.
But point being is like I just build that local community for 3 months and then I leave. And then the best part is I have it there, so I can always tap back into it. And that's really where I'm at in my life right now. Is I don't think I'm ever gonna want one home. I think I'm gonna want 3 homes that I circle in between through the year. So Medellin is definitely one. I'm exploring the second one in Europe. I'm going to different places in Europe, and then I'll try to find a third one after that. But that's where I'm at. It's just 3 home bases I can come in. Because I was just in Paris for 4 months, I think. And then I just came back here and I immediately had everything in. My chef, my housekeeper, my manager, all my friends, my dating life. Like it was already set up waiting for me on day one. So I think that's the key, is just having home bases opposed to going somewhere new all the time. But you have to start going somewhere new to figure it out first.
Do you think when you were first getting started off and you were trying to master the art of selling, that you could actually achieve that while traveling? Or
100%. Absolutely. I think the reason I was able to sell so well, it's like, dude, when I sold Jay Abraham, I was 22, I believe at the time. So I was incredibly young. So for this 22-year-old to like hop on this call and like have this confidence that he knows more than Jay Abraham on this one thing and like say, I can help you with it, like let me sell you, comes from experience, real life experience, world experience. And that real life experience builds maturity. And I think that's what helped me develop so quickly, is a fact that I was constantly moving and I had to start from scratch all over again and be forced to build something up from scratch. That's what built me the experience to hop on a call and have more of this, for lack of better words, old soul feel that I could not come off like a young degenerate 20-year-old. Yeah, so I think it absolutely helps to move around.
That's super interesting. it has nothing to do about business itself. It's just your lifestyle, essentially. That's where you're getting that experience from.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, business comes with it for sure.
Sure.
But, the lifestyle definitely jump-started 1,000%.
Let's talk about that because you have a super dope lifestyle. How you crafted it and why you crafted it the way that you did.
Yeah, man. So, like, I love movies, as you can probably tell.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a huge movie fanatic. And I would just always see people like Bruce Wayne, he's in his persona there, or like James Bond. And I wanted that lifestyle where it's a quiet luxury, where you have all the luxurious items, but you know how to show off, but it comes with class, charisma, experience, and just adventures. To be frank with you, point blank, I always wanted that. My life was always built up wanting adventure. Like I remember at an early age, I would be like 10, 11, I would just disappear for days in the wilderness, like just go off and explore because I created adventure and moving. So knowing that, it's like having money propels that. That was really the biggest thing for me. And now lifestyle-wise, man, it's like I just need everything optimized and dialed in. So like for here, for example, I have a full-time chef, cooks, just like you have right now, that's cooking for you. I got a full-time chef. I got a house manager that makes sure that our house is supplied with everything it needs all the time because I don't want to go grocery shopping and deal with the fucking chef. So he deals with the chef. Then I have like a girl, for example, that runs my Bumble. So like she'll go out and like get dates and she knows what I like now. So like she'll strategize it and then she doesn't contact me. She contacts my house manager. Then my house manager sets up the date for us. And then my house manager sends me the detail on what she'll be wearing, what she looks like. So it's like I like that version of dialed in. But to be frank with you, man, it's like I just want to make sure I travel light and I can just have systems where I move in and out. So when I move to a place in Europe, I have that too, not just here. And that's where I really want lifestyle-wise because with that, it then gives me the freedom to travel and so much more. Like this is a point, I'll go on a bit of a rant here if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I just got this suit, right? And I need to get the jacket, but the issue was
Do you only wear black?
I wear navy blue and white.
Okay.
But that's I stick to the basics.
Okay.
But point being, it was in a different city, and I didn't want to go to that city, so I just told my house manager, "Here's your plane ticket. Go to the city and pick up the jacket for me and bring it back." Like those little things, not having to cook for yourself, all that, it saves you dozens and dozens and dozens of hours in the month that you can then spend that to acquire more wealth or build your skill sets or learn another language or spend on your social life, however you please. But that's really why I think like the key to my lifestyle is like a lot of people see I travel time, I take vacations once or twice a month. I'm able to do that and be dialed in everywhere else is because I have systems taking care of everything else for me. I'm just delegating in real life. That's all it is.
Have you read Buy Back Your Time?
No, I haven't.
So where'd you develop like this mentality from?
I just think
systematizing.
I think just watching people move at an appropriate way. I mean, to be frank with you, like even Gaji was definitely a huge influence on it. Like I saw him, he had got the Bumble idea from him. Actually, funny enough, now that I think about it, I remember being on a call with him. He told me that. All right, no, he was on my podcast, and he told me that, and I was like, damn, that's a fucking idea. I'm gonna steal that and figure that out myself. So it's like I just model that after people moving a different way and just figured it out myself. That's basically it.
Okay. So you mentioned something earlier, and it's about your relationships, and it kind of stems from your lifestyle. I think a lot of people would see you, especially the younger audience looking, like you're the model man that I think a lot of people would want to strive toward. Like,
Thank you.
Money is good. Your relationships seem to be good. You work out, like your health is solid. Unless everything's Photoshop on your IG.
I'm jacked. I'll take off my shirt for you after.
So how do people become that type of person? Become like a real man? What does a real man mean to you?
Well, one, a real man is a guy that takes full responsibility over every area of life. So it's like if you were ever blaming someone, even if it is technically someone else's fault, you're not a fucking man in my opinion. Because at the end of the day, there's always going to be uncontrollables. So you need to control what's in your controllable. You need to treat everything like it's 100% absolutely your power and your responsibility. So if you have that mentality, that's what easily applies to every area of life, like working out, fitness, wealth creation, relationship building. It's having that mentality first. The second thing, man, is I think like the number one thing that makes an actual man and not a boy is adventures and stories. So I always thought about this from a young age is when I'm whatever, this is a conversation for the day. I don't really want to die like 80 or 90. Like I think I want to die like in my 60s or 70s and like once I'm like deteriorating, I'm good. I got what I need out of this life. I've lived the fucking life of a 60-year-old already.
You think you'll start breaking down at around 60 to 70?
I don't know if I will, but that's kind of my, like, I kind of like hope I die doing what I love. Like my grandpa, he just died in his 70s, super fit, but flying his plane. So it's like, and he always told me, he's like, I tell him I'm going to die on my plane one day, and that'll be like the best experience. So it's like, I vision that because he told me the biggest thing he was always afraid of was not being able to do the things he loves and having people take care of him. Because again, that manhood is like wanting to take 100% responsibility, not letting anyone take care of you. So that's just a conversation for another day. But yes, I want to die at a younger age. But point being is when I die, whatever age that is, okay, when I'm on my deathbed, I can't give my kids money and that really does anything for them. Sure, like, will it make their life more comfortable? It might actually have the reverse effect and make them too comfortable and they won't be ambitious or driven or anything, right? But what can I pass down to them? Stories. Stories are the one thing that will get them to look at me in a certain way, but also look at life a certain way and achieve that for themselves. So my dad, he never had money, but the one thing he'd always had for me was stories. He had all these stories about how he went to Europe at 18 with $50 in his pocket, and he met this woman in Greece and got married, and he lived on this Greek island for 10 years. Then he divorced. He met my mom in Paris, like all this shit, right? So it's like those stories fueled me, and they gave me this awe of life. And like I looked at him as a man because of those stories. And I think James Bond's like a perfect example, right? He's like a man of stories and a man of adventures. I think every man needs that. And if you are, maybe that's why I like to move so much, is if you're staying put, it's hard to build those stories. So to answer your question, what makes you a man, right? Responsibility over everything. And then two, I think it's just having stories and adventures, which builds character.
I think there's a lot of people in the space, and it's this hustle culture, right? Make money, make money, make money. But they forget about all these other areas in their life, and they just go downhill. They can't talk to most people, especially 18, 19, 20-year-olds that are getting started in the online make money space. Yeah. They can't talk to girls. They're not working out, right? They're only really. That was you?
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't talk.
What changed?
Yeah, I can ask a girl for the street on time without like sweating profusely.
But you're like a good look, and that's, I bet a lot of people are like, what the heck? You're a good looking guy. Like,
I appreciate that, but I was never actually like, I think I'm average looking now. I think I'm like slightly, maybe a little above average, but I was never good looking. Money made me good looking. So like, for example, like I could show you old pictures of myself, dude. Like I'm skinny. Like I look like I'm at break. Like I just like, my face structure was fucking weird. Like I dressed super poor with like holes everywhere. It's like, I looked like fucking shit. Like there was no way you'd say like that guy's gonna be one day decently looking.
Yeah.
So wealth builds actually attraction in my opinion, because then you can afford to actually buy nice things, take care of yourself, etc. But dude, I think the answer to your question, unless I'm misunderstanding your question, is I saw from a younger age going to like masterminds and networks that there was always 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds that were super fat, out of shape, couldn't even get up barely in the morning, and they had all the fucking money in the world. But like we talked about, what do I love more? Adventures, stories. So it's like if I can't spend that money to make adventures and stories, what good is that money in the first place? So that was just the first thing that switched me from early ages. I don't want to be just the wealth guy.
So what would be your message for that 18-year-old kid listening right now, or 25, who knows how old someone is listening to this? I think this advice applies to them all. And they're super hyper-focused on money. And they don't, because quite frankly, it sounds like the reason why you're building your life this way is because it's a lot bigger than just numbers and zeros in the bank account. So how does someone tap in to identifying what they actually want from their life? Because it seems like you have a crystal clear idea.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard question to answer, man. But I mean, point being is like, one is I want all these things because I want my life to be my own movie. I want to be my own main character. I think I saw this when I was like 18 and grinding, and I saw Joe Rogan was saying like, you got to act like you got film cameras on you 24/7. Like we've all probably heard that in the motivational clips. He's like, you pick up the pen and fucking write your own script and get super hype. But like that always stuck with me is I just want my own life to be my movie. That's why I'm obsessed with movies. Like I take inspiration from them. Like, yeah, I want to take that and put this into my movie. I want to take that and put this into my movie. But point being is what do you want? How do you figure out what you want in life and define it? You don't. You don't know what it is until you actually go out and build experience. I really just think, man, it's like as cheesy as the analogy is of onions, right? It's like you're just peeling back a layer at a time and just figuring out more and more and more as you go. It's like we were talking about this earlier with dating. It's like we were figuring out like, well, what do we want? Long-term relationship, short-term, Playboy lifestyle, et cetera. It's like you don't know until you fucking do it. Yeah. And then you do it and you're like, oh, I don't like that because of this. And it puts you in a better direction. Like, oh, I do like this, but I want it in this different way. And then you refine it based off that. So my life and everything I have is just a series of trying a fuck ton of things and building a lot of stories and building a lot of adventures and just knowing crystal clear what I love and what I don't love. And I'm still figuring that out on some degree to some level.
Yeah. So let's go back to that dating thing, because you said that you weren't able to talk to a girl without sweating, basically. And were you making a lot of money at that time still and still struggling with your dating life?
Dude, I went through my dating life's kind of weird because I went through phases where I just got really fucking lucky. Like that high school sweetheart I had, she's this new girl that just walked into town. And I just met her the first day she found out on the street. And I don't know what overcame me, God's will, for example, because it was not my personality to. And I just approached her and it worked out beautifully. But she's like the hottest girl in school.
Yeah.
But I don't have those bouts. Like if I then tried to try and there was no inspiration behind it, I couldn't do it. So yes, to answer your question, I did struggle with women, even with money, because I had that second relationship, which was in Kansas City, and that ended terribly due to my own fault. And lots of lessons I didn't learn and traumas I didn't overcome. And I moved to Miami, and I was now with all these big ballers making more money than me, had the dating life down, had all the charisma, and I was trying to figure it out. So there, I would say, that's where I really cracked dating, was Miami, and just a fuck ton of trial and effort. I actually looked at it, I think I talked about this with them when you were sitting by the camera, is what helped me with dating was optimizing for what I was good for. So I'm still, dude, not that guy. If I have to do it, I'll do it. But I'm not that guy that's going to go to a club or a bar, meet a girl and game her up and take her home. I've done it before. Can I do it again? Yeah. Am I really good at it? Probably not. Probably average. I figured out what am I good at, and I'm really good at marketing, right? So I asked myself, okay, well, how can I make marketing apply to dating? And what I did in Miami, now I have the better version of the girl running, I told you, is I was like, okay, let me just master online dating, because online dating, day to day, is just marketing. You're just marketing yourself. So I created a profile. I wanted to make sure that profile followed a story archetype, because every girl likes a different archetype. The bad boy, the finance bro, whatever it may be. I found the archetype that I was I suited with.
Are you the bad boy?
I'm a bad boy with a sweetheart. But I created my archetype, right? Yeah. And then I realized too, okay, the biggest thing is I get to sit back and forth here on Bubble all day, but just if I'm cold DMing on Facebook or cold DMing on LinkedIn, a million other people are cold DMing them. So even if they are interested in my product or service, what's going to happen? Someone else is going to cold DM, they're going to get distracted, and they're going to forget about me. Online dating is the same way. So I just prepared that analogy. So I said, okay, well, let me take them off this platform onto a new platform, aka a phone call. But before I did that, I sent them to a landing page. And that landing page is my Instagram. Yep. And I made sure my Instagram just had all these flexy, lifestyle, cheesy photos, show the lifestyle, intrigue her, have curiosity, but don't say what I do for a living. So that way she saw I was living this life, and the thing she would ask herself is, how is this guy living this life? Who is he? And it builds that curiosity, and they need to, curiosity killed the cat in this case. Sure. It got the deal. But the point being is, so then I would get him, and then next thing is I realized every guy was DMing on Instagram. So I was let me take this step different. Let me voice message her. So I'd voice message her. And then from that, I would say, hey, I really want to go on a date with you. That said, you could be a complete psychopath or I could be, serial killer. So why don't we just make sure we're both normal, somewhat sane people with a little bit of crazy before we agree to this date? How does that sound? She's like, yeah, sure. I'm okay, let me know when you're free for a 5-minute FaceTime date. And then I would hop on FaceTime with her, game her a little bit, plan the date, and that was my strategy. So it's yeah, did I get good with women? Sure. But did I get good with women doing what everyone else does? No. I found what worked for me and my personality and what my skill sets were, and I crafted something based off that.
I remember 2 years ago, we were sitting down, I think in Moxie's in Miami. You told me that exact same thing. I started doing it. I just remember, I still use, you look cinematic or something like that.
Yeah, I remember that line.
That thing works like a charm. That's so interesting. Now, do you think, though, similar to cold DM versus cold calling, personally, I think you're going to get way more skill sets cold calling.
Absolutely.
Do you think it applies to dating? Do you feel like maybe it's the lazy way out and it's hurting certain other skill sets that you could be developing?
Good question, man. I think there's a yes and no to it, to be frank with you. I think every guy should master just talking to a girl off the bat, cold, pure interaction. But I'll say, man, lots of people do online dating. 90% of profiles are deleted within the first 2 months. So what does that tell you? Most people fucking fail. Yeah. So it's not to be a dating coach here, but it's dude, online dating is pretty fucking hard. It's I learned a lot of skill sets and I just transfer those over. And I don't think it was a lazy way out. I think it worked for me.
Yeah. Interesting. Find what works for you. All right. So I guess just a few more questions to wrap things up. This is going back into the sales side, but what's the most common mistakes that people are making when they're doing high ticket sales? that's preventing them from actually closing the deals?
A fucking lot.
Yeah, that's a loaded question.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I can knock out like the most common ones that I think people get wrong. Is like, one, rapport is the stupidest fucking thing in the world when it comes to sales. Like people, you don't hop on and like people like that whole story like, oh, people buy from their friends. No, they don't. Let me give you this analogy. Say there's two doctors. Okay, the first doctor, super charismatic. When he drives a Lambo, he's the fucking man. Like he can talk to you about UFC, sports, whatever you're into, etc. The second doctor is kind of cold, reserved. He's not a dick, but just in his profession. Yeah. But he asks you questions about your diagnostic of what you need help with that no other doctor's ever helped you before, ever asked you before, which shows a level of knowledge and expertise that no other doctor has. Which doctor are you going to trust more? Dude, the latter, obviously, right?
So sorry. I fucked that up.
So point being, with that, it's like, okay, well, if that is that to be true, people don't want to buy a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 program from someone that's cool or they like. That helps a little bit, but it doesn't seal the deal. So instead, rapport's not hopping on, talking about the weather, sports, all this shit. I hop on, and true rapport is built by asking high-level, intelligent questions based off their problem that gets them to think about their problem in a way they've never thought about it before. That's real rapport. I think it's the first mistake people make in sales. Second mistake, frames. I think setting a frame on a call, at first, if you're a newbie, it's okay. But afterwards, you should just have enough control in the call not to do that. So hop on and say, okay, so here's what's going to happen on this call. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. At the end of the call, I want a yes or no, because I think about it, all it is delay no, like that bullshit people always do. Fucking terrible. You don't need to do that if you actually know how to close. All it does is build sales persistence. So all I hop on a sales call, even though I'm selling a $70,000 mastermind, so say, how can I help? First thing I ask, hey, how's it going at your end of the world? Sweet. How can I help? Just start the process. So it's like there's lots of ways people go wrong, but like those are some really famous examples for people that are just starting sales that they know about, they're probably doing.
Yeah. So I'm sure everyone wants to know, what's your close rate on average? And I mean, I don't even know if you have it like counted, but how many deals have you closed since you started selling?
I mean, one, so it's like the close rate is going to vary based off the industry you're selling. So if you're selling B2C fitness, it's a lot different than selling a B2B educated mastermind, for sure, right? On average, I was pacing a 40-50% close rate on live calls. Wow. So I hate this whole like
offers rate.
Yeah, it's bullshit. Yeah. You're doing that. You're a fucking pussy. You're changing your metrics to suit you. Live calls is the true teller. And then how much have I closed? I don't know. I mean, on average, I was closing about $3 million a year. So whatever that comes out to be. I mean, this year alone, or excuse me, last year alone, my team member told me I closed 2.2 million part-time. So, but I'm selling a much higher ticket program, obviously.
Sure.
But I was taking like 3-4 calls a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane, man. Okay, cool. So I think one of the last places I want to wrap this up is, what does the future look like for Temple? Like, you're going to settle down, you have all these dates coming in, you're going to keep doing sales. Like, let's look 10, 15 years out.
Dude, I mean, frank with you, I hate this question.
Okay.
And not because I hate you, but the reason I hate this question is it's not possible to answer it. We don't even know what next year is going to be like with AI and all these shifts, and we don't even know what the fuck's going to happen. So to plan out 15 years from now, this is the exact person I'm going to be, is impossible because you don't know what's going to happen in the market, what's going to shift, etc. Will I stay in sales? Obviously, because sales is always going to be there. It's been there since the beginning of time, and in the fucking caveman days, and they're trading fucking berries for fucking fresh deer they just killed, right? Yeah. It's here now. It's always going to be here, and it always will. But my end game, I can tell you that at least, is I want to have a farm with a bunch of fucking horses, beautiful daughters, and a beautiful wife, and then I fucking made it. Away from everyone, back to my introvert self, not having to be in this internet world, not ever having to talk to anybody again if I don't want to. That's my end goal.
You don't like the internet world?
I like the internet world for the purpose it serves now. Would I want to live in it for the rest of my life? No, absolutely not.
That's so interesting because we were talking earlier about.
Yeah.
I hate it. I can't stand it.
100%.
Why you don't want boys? You just want daughters?
I might want a boy. The thing about all my friends disagree with me on this. It's funny. I'm like the only one that wants daughters.
Yeah. I've never heard it before.
I don't think there's enough good women in this world. I think that the social media, celebrities, these TV shows, they're making terrible fucking women that are not mothers. And these women are going to be fucking, and it's already happening, by the way, but they're going to be, 30 years old and realize no man wants to fucking wife them up. And they just spent their best years of life that could be youthful mother producing beautiful, healthy children. And now they're just this throwaway that no one fucking wants. And they're severely depressed. Or these women that choose their career over family first. It's just depression, every single one of them. So I think if I can have some control and I can create some beautiful women out there that would be excellent mothers and then raise strong men. Because here's the thing, right? It's like, do I want a boy so I can raise a great man? Absolutely. You know what actually makes a great man? A great mother. That's why I'm a great man. Because my mother is the best fucking mother I've ever met. She's my best friend. I talk to her every single day. She raised me and grew me to the character I am. Without her, this person, Temple, doesn't exist. So knowing that to be true, it's like, hey, if I want to raise the best men, do I raise a boy? Sure. But I could also raise daughters that can make multiple men that will be superior, take over, and carry on my bloodline. So that's why I want daughters.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
That's super. I've never heard anyone kind of go that deep into that. And I don't know, that kind of blew my mind. I never looked at it that way. I've always been like, I want 5 kids and I want 4 out of 5 to be boys.
Yeah.
But you kind of just changed my entire perspective on that.
That's what these conversations are for, right?
So, all right, I guess to wrap things up, man, what would be your last piece of advice to everyone out there listening? They see your lifestyle. They want to kind of create an alter ego for themselves. Like you've pretty much designed it and you're living it. What would be your advice to them to get to where you're at or where they want to be?
I mean, dude, so again, such an open-ended question, so much advice to give.
Yeah.
I would say romanticize life, to be frank with you. I think most guys and men, and you could say women too, but I can only speak for the experience of being a man because I'm obviously one, is they're very pragmatic. And because they're pragmatic, they look at everything from like a very logistical point of view of like what's realistic that I can achieve in my lifetime, right? And unless you have that romanticism of life, which is like where I love movies, because it's like I see James Bond, I'm like, why can't I be that guy? Like,
yeah.
What makes me not be able to have that level of wealth or fighting skill or charisma or woman, etc. Is that romanticism is what puts me on a path for wanting what is the unattainable and then making it the attainable by learning the skill sets along the way. But if I was pragmatic and realistic, I'd be an accountant, or I would still probably be coding in that office in Portland, Oregon. So I think the biggest thing as a young man is you just gotta pick up the pen, write your own script, and romanticize it to the level you want.
That's beautiful, man. Dude, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. I hope you guys liked it. Make sure you follow Temple on all his socials. We're going to be putting everything in the description. Make sure you smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn post notifications on for the next video. And with that being said, that's a wrap. Yo. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you liked it, make sure you smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn on bell notifications so I can see you in the next one. And last but not least, make sure you guys check out one of these fire videos that the YouTube algorithm just hand-selected for you. And guys, if you want to work with me on a one-on-one basis so I can help you scale your agency and take it to new heights like I've done in the past, because I've built 2 7-figure marketing agencies before I could legally drink, go ahead, click down below, fill out an application, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.